Taylor. Lee is the State Interagency Council Program Administrator, and we work at the Department for Behavioral Health, Developmental, and Intellectual Disabilities. And we want to thank you for joining us today. Today, our REACT Learning Series session is titled Youth Raised by Caregivers. It's got a youth focus and perspective. It is actually part 2 of a session that was provided last February on grandparents raising grandchildren and youth. This session is panel style with a few transition age youth with lived experience that will be sharing their journey with out-of-home care, including the struggles that they've encountered, what resources and supports were helpful to them, and what services and supports are needed to help youth in and out-of-home care. Our facilitator is Dave Cooper. He is the Youth Leadership Coordinator with Kentucky Partnership for Family and Children. And then after our panel session, we have got Aetna Better Health of Kentucky that is going to talk to us about the SKY program. So before I turn it over to Dave and our panelists to introduce themselves, I'd like to go over just a few housekeeping items. Please mute your mics if you haven't already. We have time carved out at the end for questions and answers after the panel session. You are free to unmute at that time and or use the chat box to ask questions. Lee and I are going to be monitoring that during the session. Also, the session will be recorded and posted on the REACT YouTube channel. I'm going to put that link in the chat box a little bit later. We also have a session evaluation that will be posted in the chat box towards the end of the session. So please take a moment to complete that at that time. And as always, certificates of attendance are available by request. You can email me if you'd like to have one, and I'll put my email in the chat box a little bit later. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Dave for him to introduce himself along with our panelists.
Awesome. Thanks, Vanessa. Good morning, everybody. So like Vanessa said, I'm Dave Cooper. I'm the Youth Leadership Coordinator for KPFC in System of Care 5. And I'm going to pass it to Ayana so she can go ahead and introduce herself.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Ayana Coates. I am a former youth advocate with Tailored and KPFC, as well as a state youth representative for GMIT.
Awesome. Thanks, Ayana. So it's just me and Ayana right now, but hopefully more of our panelists will hop on. But before that, we'll just go ahead and just kind of have a back and forth with a couple questions that we got lined up. So our first question for today is, what was the transition like when you got to your new placement / caregivers? Ayana.
Sorry, okay. I had to unmute my mic. All right, transitions were pretty nerve-wracking, and I mostly had anxiety because I didn't know these people. I had to do a little bit of reverse psychology on myself in order to, find some peace in the situation. Kind of just cope and pretend okay, maybe I'm just we're gonna pretend this is summer camp for a couple months and just see how this works out. You can't think the worst of the whole situation, and just be kind of hopeful and have faith that it's just a process and it's only temporary.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of mine's are kind of similar, Ayana, where it's I was kind of actually I like the way you put it when you said you kind of had to put it a summer camp. I think that's a cool outlook to look on it. But I was just kind of confused, confused, perplexed. I didn't know what placement was. I didn't know what the child welfare system was. So I was just confused in general. So I was just trying to navigate it. And just try to figure out my reason for being here, why I was here, and what was going on. So the transition aspect, it was difficult and it was quick because it was quick where it's it was 1 minute I'm at home, next minute I'm in a group home. So and I will say this, they didn't really make it easy on me just because a lot of information was being thrown my way. So I had to adjust and pivot real quick.
Absolutely.
Our our second question though is, was it difficult at all getting along with your new caregiver? And if so, can you give an example?
Whoa. Out of the several placements I had, I can really say that one caregiver and I actually had a problem getting along. And I was already away from my family, in a completely new location, like a whole part of the state that I never knew about before I had gone into this setting. And it was just, the type of place that you hear stories about that people who look like me don't really play around in. And the caregiver's relationship with me, it felt oppressive because they took away so many of just like my comfort items that were pretty harmless. Like she didn't agree with them because of her faith, her religion, and honestly, she did little to meet my care needs as well as my medically fragile needs. And I was like, that's the whole reason I'm here. And she said she put in her 2 weeks notice and, had me shipped off somewhere else. I was like, that was the only time that I had ever really had a problem with anybody. And it was just mostly because I felt like I wasn't getting taken care of. So of course, I'm 16 at the time. I'm gonna say something about me not getting taken care of. And
Mhm.
if she doesn't see it the same way I see it, I'm like, I guess we have to part ways then.
No, that was really well said. Um, so I guess most of my placements were like residential and like a group home. So like I guess I'll kind of substitute like caregivers for like if I got along with staff. And I'll be honest, like most of the placements I went through, like the staff was like pretty cool. I'm not gonna say like I got along with like all the staff that came in like during their shift, but like the staff that I did get along with, like they treated me right for like the most part. Like if I had a concern or whatever, and I brought it up to them, they were
Mhm.
like, talk it out with me and just be like, okay, why do you have this concern? How can we fix it? And like, blase this, blase that. But like, you also did have the staff where it's like, yo, I would tell them like a issue or like something that was like making me upset, and like they will like completely just be like, oh nah, like you're just tripping, or like you're just being
Like brush it off. Like,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
like they'll just brush it off and just be like, you don't know exactly what you're talking about. Or like something is like sometimes the staff would just be like, yo, you're just a kid. So like what do you know about this or like about that? And like that really just like rubbed me the wrong way. So like I will say this, like my time in placement, like I had a cool staff that like had my back, they'll talk through stuff through with me. And like I had the other staff where it's like they just came through and it's like this is just a job. You feel me? Like it's just
Uh-huh.
like just a 9 to 5 or whatever their shift was. I clock in, clock out, and like you could tell the difference because like they would like engage with me, have conversations, and like some other staff would just like they'll just be chilling on their phone.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's always kind of like upsetting to a young kid, especially when you feel like nobody cares at that
Hmm.
moment.
Um, did you have any other thoughts on this question, Yana, before we move on?
Uh I always just wondered, if there was like, how we do aptitude tests to see, how we be fitting for a job. Like I always wonder, I know with most placements, like it's so sudden and immediate that these kids have to find somewhere to stay. But I'm
Hmm.
just like, there's gotta be a way that we could find a placement that would be suitable, for these kids that they could feel more comfortable.
Yeah. Yana, it's funny you brought that up because one of my best friends, me and him, we went through placement together, and like just like me, he like bounced from like group home residential, and like legit, I want to say maybe like a month or so ago, we was just talking about like what if they had different placements like so like in college, there's a website called Rate Your Professor, where like you could like hop on the website, you could like see all like the reviews. It's kind of like Yelp for like college kids, like when they about to like go ahead and like pick their classes. So like I'm wondering, what if there could be like a way where it's like caseworkers or whatever could have a system where it's like this is how this like foster care you like graded this placement, and like just to listen to like all the attributes or whatever, like what the placement offer and so on, and what the kids thought about it. I feel like that would be like super awesome before like a kid like I know most kids don't get to choose their like placements, but it would be cool if we had something like that.
Yeah, at least I mean they got a summary of us before we got to the placement. We never got a summary of where we were about to be placed.
Exactly. Like yeah, I feel like so if anybody's listening, like a Yelp review for placements, like I'm just saying,
A 5-star Uber rating for this placement.
Cool. So let's go. I think you're gonna like this one, to be honest. So like the third question is, were there any cultural slash religion differences between you and your caregiver that you can share with us?
Ooh, yeah, majorly. uh, I remember that when I was in one of the placements, the same one that I really didn't get along with this lady in, they were Pentecostal and I was raised Baptist. So I was like, I don't know anything about, this denomination of faith. I was like, Christian is Christian. I know that much. But getting more into it, I was like, we're way out here in the country, and all my friends could kind of describe it as is like they have snakes in their church. I was like, why are y'all trying to scare me? Because I'm going out here, and like they didn't have cable. They had Netflix, so we would just kind of watch some shows on Netflix that they would approve of. They let me have an iPod Touch at the time, but I wasn't allowed to have a cell phone. Um, and what else? Oh, this was the big thing. I still am. I'm really into Harry Potter. Like that's my comfort to me, especially at that time. Like I was a teenager. I read all the books. My aunt had bought me like every single Harry Potter and Twilight book, and I had all the DVDs. And my grandma, she was just like, take them with you. And when I got to this family's home, they were like, we don't believe in that. So
No,
she took all my Harry Potter books and my DVDs, my Twilights. I was like,
I would have been so.
I was distraught. I was like, "There's a book,
Oh,
no." Yeah, but we had to go to church services like 3 times a day, sometimes on Sundays, and every Wednesday as well. So like when I got out of school on Wednesday afternoons, I wasn't allowed to do my homework yet, which I was so used to because I was like, as soon as I get home, I do my homework, then it's time to eat and have the rest of the afternoon or the evening to do whatever I want to do. But we would have to stop and go to church. And I was like, not trying to be disrespectful, but I'm just like, I need to do my homework because like by the time we get home, it's gonna be late and it's time for us to go to bed. And she was like, no, you can't do that. And I was like, you're not letting me do my homework. So it was a confusing time for me just because I was like, I felt like I was being forced into a religion. And I was like, they looked at me funny because I had this shortcut, relaxed hairstyle. I had dyed my hair black at the time with the emo swoop. And I had piercings in my ears. I wore the skinny jeans at the time. It was the swag era. Like this is 2012, and they're looking at me. I'm just this kid from Louisville, and they're like, "Oh, well, you're pretty for a black girl."
Oh
The guy
wow.
said that to me at church. I was like, "What do you mean?" And it just took me. It was a huge culture shock for me at the time because I was just like, "Y'all are really like this," but um, yeah, got through that.
No, no. Thanks for sharing that, Yana. I imagine that must have been tough. I'm a big book reader myself, so like I get it. Like once you take our books away, like we don't feel right. You feel me? So like, did
No.
you get those books back?
I did not get my books back.
Oh, I would have been, I would have been so mad. I got a Harry Potter collection myself at home, but to answer the question, like my placements, I guess it wasn't really that big of like a cultural difference. It's kind of like just like moving from a different end of town to like another end of town. So like my whole life I live in urban communities, projects, hoods, like whatever. Like I just like lived that my whole life. So like that's like basically all I know. Like I know I can like get up, go to the corner store, get my snacks, like and so on. I know I can walk out my door, and I'll see people from my neighborhood and like just like chop it up with them, have a conversation, stay out until like the lights come on like at night, and I know okay, it's time to get back home. But like when I got into placement, it was just like so it was just so weird to me just because like I went from like an urban community all the way to like the suburbs. You feel
Hmm.
me? So
Yeah.
yes, yeah. Like I kid you not, my group home was like in the middle of like a road, and it was like if you kept on going down like a couple like miles, you would see like one like small farmhouse, and I think they had like some like a cow or like chicken on it. But like it wasn't like that big of like a culture shock to me. It was just like a location change. Cause like everybody in my group home, like down to the staff, they look like me. They talk to me. But like we always just complain of like how far out like the group home was. Cause
Hmm.
like anytime we want to go do something, we'll just have to like ask staff like, yo, we want to go back to like the side of town we was from. That's like 20-25 minutes. And like staff will say like, yo, I'm busy or I can't take you down there. And like if you take the bus, that's a good like 3 to 4 hours just to get there. So like let me add some context to y'all. So like my placement was in Columbus, Ohio. Like Columbus, I don't know if you guys ever been, but like it has like different parts of like just like different sections all over Columbus, but like the bus pretty much go everywhere. So like for me to get to the part of town where I was from or like where I stayed at the time before I got in placement, I would have to like go wait for a bus that's gonna take about like 20 to 30 minutes. And then the bus is gonna make all these stops, and then I have to transfer buses. That's probably gonna take another like 30 to 45 minutes until I got to like the destination like I wanted to go. And like the staff at my group home, they just always told us to like you can either get a rod up there or you can get a rod back, but you can't get it both ways. So like you had to choose like yeah, exactly. So like you had to choose which one you would prefer. Like if you can make that trip and get up there, okay, cool. And staff will like you can call them, they'll come pick you up. But like you couldn't like just be like, yo, staff, can you take me this side of town, and then like when I'm done doing what I'm doing, can you like come pick me up? Well, like I was never able to do that. So like that was the only like cultural like cultural difference. You feel me? Just like the location. We really weren't too religious. We like didn't go to church or like anything like that. We had a choice to go to church if we wanted to, and like staff would take us. But like that was like only the difference, just like the location. I remember like all like the boys in my group home, we just always complain about that just because like it was all the way in ponies, like where the group home was.
Man, that's funny you mentioned that like a few miles down there was a farm because like
Hmm.
I was living on a farm when I was in my placement. Like I pulled up, they had a llama,
Are you?
and yeah, there was a llama. His name was Obama. And,
That's hilarious. Obama the llama.
yeah,
That is, that just made my day. That just oh my god, that's hilarious.
and I was like, I don't know if I should be upset or not because I loved it. I
Hmm.
love being on the farm. That was probably like one of the only things that did give me peace was like that chickens and goats and different animals. But yeah, my books, that was my big thing. It
Hmm.
kind of turned me off about the whole situation.
And I guess like that's the thing too. Like I feel like sometimes they don't realize like cultural and religion is like sometimes big to some like youth in the foster care system. And it's like in my group home, just because like we're so far away from where like neighborhoods that we were from, we AWOL almost like every weekend or like at least once a week. And like the only reason we AWOL was just because like, yo, we're so far from where we actually wanted to be. So like I just think that's something like workers should like really take into consideration. Let's see. I appreciate it, Erica. Thank you. I don't know if you see the chat, Ayana, but Erica is just saying she's saying our words are powerful and she enjoyed listening to
I
us.
just saw that. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So let's get down on question 4. So were you allowed to explore any goals and dreams you may have had at the time?
Support of my goals and dreams. I pretty much. But that was mainly with probably the last family placement that I had.
Hmm.
The last time I was placed before I got into kinship was in 2012 through 2013. And it was like more places were encouraging than others, pursue extracurricular activities. And there were some people, usually the moms or the wives of the home, who weren't as motivated or as self motivated. So I didn't really get those vibes from them. But this last family I had stuck out to me because I was really blessed at the end of my stay that they were a young married couple. They had their own 1-year old. And I remember like when I got to their house, they were in the transition of moving to
Hmm.
like a bigger house. I was like, what is going on? And because we moved out to like this huge part in like one of the suburbs of the outskirts of town. It's called Mount Washington. And like we were still going to the same school, and it was a mixture of a lot of the urban kids and a mixture of a lot of like the preppy kids
Hmm.
and stuff like that. So it was a good balance. It was like that kind of hood adjacent balance that, that we kind of, you deal with when you're living in the city, but you've got your friends who still listen to Paramore type stuff. And like the husband, I remember he was a barbershop owner and a professional motorcyclist. And the
Hmm.
wife, she owned multiple daycares throughout the city. And when I would come home after school, she let me assist with childcare. And this is what really inspired me to go into childcare later on and do my own home care services, like during the pandemic. And they took us to church, but it wasn't a punishment. It never felt forced. They encouraged us to keep up with our appearances as young ladies and get our hair done and buy us clothes we needed for school. They took us skating and to family events and birthday parties. And they always included us. And like they had a basketball rim outside. So I played basketball with the dad and stay
Hmm.
active and work on my jump shot. Mainly because they knew like with my diabetes and everything that I had to do something active. So they would be like, do you want to join a team or something like that? And I was like, I just feel like I'm not going to be here long enough to join a team. And they understood that, but they still worked with me a lot. And they let me study for school. I would see the mom, she was in college. So we would study sometimes and she would be getting ready for her classes. And I was like, it really inspired me, especially because this was a young Black family in
Hmm.
their 30s, and they had three Black girls, as their foster kids. We were all in high school, and it was me and another girl was a junior, and then one of the other girls, she was a freshman. And somehow, like with everything even going on in a house of three teenage girls, like kind of in a close environment, it felt like, even when some things seemed impossible or they were a problem, they kept it together. And they really did that for us. And it taught me ambition. And that's so
Hmm.
important when you want success in life without blocking and missing your blessings, and you'll succeed 100% of the time. Because I saw that and they were just like, keep doing what you want to do, keep doing what you need to do. And, they stayed on me. They stayed on me about taking care of myself,
Mhm.
about, just being proactive in school, making sure I'm doing something with my life. And I really appreciated that because in the end, it got me back with my family quicker because they were able to work with me a lot more than almost anybody else I'd ever been with in care.
No, no, that's really profound because like it really does you just take like somebody just like just believing in you and just like telling you constantly like yo keep trying like you're gonna be successful like you just need like that one person just to believe in you so like nah awesome thanks for sharing that mine's is kind of similar to just because like in my placement I told you about like the staff that we had but like there was this one staff and like till this day that man is my mentor like I talk about him all the time like when I do presentations but like I could like legit hit him up any time of the day like he's probably gonna pick up and like if I just ask him I'll just be like hey yo Lou I need to chop it up. Like I got this going on in life. I'm trying to make this decision. I'm trying to do this, or like, oh, I'm trying to go about doing something. And like he'll tell me if I'm like wrong. He'll tell me if I'm in the right. And he'll even tell me like, yo, Days, I knew you for a long time. You're being stupid. And this was like a staff that was in like my group home. And like he just went like the extra mile, just like to go ahead and help me out and like keep mentoring me. But like I am remember this. I was about to I was aging out. So like I was starting the process to like transition into like independent living. So like in Columbus, independent living, like once you like transition did some independent living classes, they hook you up with an apartment and they'll cover your rent for like the first 6 months. And like I remember like I was struggling like after like it was about the fourth, fifth rent came about like my job or whatever. Like I was just struggling and like he like told me, yo, Days, you should go to college. And I was like, what do you mean? Like go to college? Like I ain't thinking that was like really option. He was like, yo, since I known you since you came to like the home, you're smart like you're like proactive like you said and you like you just get stuff done like he'll just start listing like qualities like that I was in the home like I was one of the few people to be working I was able to buy a car like while I was in placement like you just have like goals that you want to hit and like I feel like college would be good for you and like when he said that I was like yo Lou you tripping man I ain't about to go to college like what you talking about and then like he said, nah, you about to go. So like I think like a week or so later, like I wasn't doing anything. He just hit me up. He said, hey, I call up a couple of colleges. We're about to go up there and like we're gonna visit them and we're gonna get you enrolled. And I'm all like, oh, you were serious about that college thing? And he's like, yeah, I was serious. So like he like just motivated me just to like yo go to college and like try it out for like the first year like if you don't rock with it you don't got to keep going or if you do like so bad and you don't feel like it's something for you like don't go and like when he told me that I was like okay cool I'll go ahead I'll try it out and this man legit took me like the different colleges for me to see and that's like how I ended up at EKU. He took me to EKU one time because I told him my best friend I was in placement with like go to EKU. And it's like, okay, cool. We'll go down there. I'll vibe with it. I knew somebody that was up there. And like he just kept on supporting me every step of the way, filling out my financial aid, doing like a whole bunch of stuff just to make sure like I was all straight. But like I remember now when I was in placement, he was just always telling me that like, yo, you're better and smarter than like what you actually think you are. And like you're able to do this. And like I wish I could share a picture with y'all because like he came down like the day I graduated from EKU, like he came down and we took a picture and we celebrated together. So like that was somebody that like really like supported me in the goals that I had. Like, wow, I was in placement. So like that's just pretty cool. Like, even when I think about it till this day, I'm like, dang, this man really had my back.
Wow,
uh
that's yeah. I remember you telling me you went to EKU, and
mhm.
that's where you knew my cousin Paul.
Oh, Black Paul. Yep. That's exactly where I met Paul. I remember. I forgot you guys are related. That's funny. That's funny. Vanessa, I saw a couple questions in the chat. Do you want us to go ahead and answer those questions, or just keep on pushing the questions that we have right now? I don't know how we're doing on time.
That is completely up to you guys. I didn't know if you wanted to wait until right after the panel session to go back and answer some of them, or if you wanted to stop, we could do whatever you guys are most comfortable with.
Okay.
We're good on time.
Okay, cool. We got a couple questions lined up for today, but I feel like we can answer you guys questions pretty quick. So let me see. What do you have? Dang, Michelle, that is a lot. That is a lot. Let
Just
me
a,
let me see. Where is it? Okay, cool. So Michelle is wondering, Ayana, so she said a few questions. What positives do you have to take away from your experience that has impacted your journey from not being in placement? Do you have anything for that, Ayana?
yeah, just being able to, live in a more diverse area, to live. I don't even know how to explain it right now. Just because I'm thinking like everybody that I've lived with is I still call them my brothers and sisters to
Mm-hmm.
this day. It doesn't matter if I've been in Fairdale, if I've been like towards NKU, uh, but I still talk to majority of my foster brothers and sisters. And it's amazing to see how well they've done and what we've taken from our experiences that, at the end of the day, we all love each other still. And like we were there for each other's hardest
Mm-hmm.
moments. So I'm just being able to learn and to live with people and to know how to do things a little bit differently than how you were raised, and know that not everybody was raised the same as you. So, you kind of not have to conform, but to be able to adapt and to adjust and to become that kind of person and just kind of go with the flow. Uh, it may seem uncomfortable, but it's one of the most natural parts of life. And once you get through that, I feel like you can kind of take on anything. Nothing seems as scary as it needs to be.
Awesome. Thanks, Yana. And like, yeah, mine's just kind of similar. Just the people I met a wide diversity of people, people with different views, thoughts, and like and all kinds of things. So like I just love meeting those people in placement. And one positive, and like I preach this religiously for people, for youth in placement that are about to transition out. Take full advantage of, like, I know you're kind of in a bad situation, but take full advantage of what the systems offer. Because like even when I went to college, like I got a partial grant slash scholarship to attend school at EKU, and that's just for being a foster care kid. So like take full advantage of that. Michelle, second question is, what advice could you give a youth who may be getting ready to transition into placement?
Uh, what would you say, real quick, Days?
What advice? Uh, so like I think one thing that really helped me was just be patient, give it some grace. I remember like when well, I didn't know what placement what was going to be like. I didn't know where I was going like when I finally until I finally got there. But like when it comes to like if they know beforehand and they're about to transition into it, like just be patient and observe. You feel me? Just to
Mm-hmm.
like kind of like case the situation out before you act. Don't be reactive. Try to be proactive.
Mm-hmm. Definitely don't be so judgmental about it
Mhm.
uh, before you get into the situation. Uh, kind of just, relax, hope for the best. Don't expect the worst.
That's real. That's real. And her third question was, what advice could you give a caregiver who are getting ready to accept youth into their care for the first time?
Oh man, not all kids are the same. You cannot
Mm-hmm.
treat all these kids like they're the same. You can't expect everything to go the way you want it. You can't expect these kids to know what genuine love is most of the time, because a lot of them haven't experienced that. Especially if they are younger. You have to work with these kids. You have to give them their space, give them their time to adjust to you, and don't try to force too much on them. They're
Mm-hmm.
already going through a lot of changes and transitions. And even though they're coming into your life in your home setting, you should be able to adjust that for them. They shouldn't have
Mm-hmm.
to adjust anything for you.
That's real. That's real. I echo the same things you just said. And for the fourth one, what changes can be made slash suggestions do you have for workers recruiting caregivers to accept children into their care that will make positive changes on the outcome of the youth?
Please use discernment. um, like really like try to get a look at who these people are, not just what they're trying to tell you and sell you and show you, but it really, really matters where these kids get placed. Uh, I know for some people they just look at it like a job, but we're raising people that one day we're gonna see in society as doing something,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter what they do, but they have to live and function here just like the rest of us. So giving them that strong foundation, it starts with what you're making the decision to do for them first.
Mm-hmm.
So, just I pray. I don't know if the rest of y'all pray, but I would pray about every situation, everything, and every decision that I have to make when it comes to, hey, I have to be responsible for this child's life. And the outcome, it's all determined by making the best match and knowing who, if these people are really going to be genuine when it comes to helping them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And the fifth one, what advice can you give a caregiver who may not be of the same racial ethnicity who would like to accept someone in their home to be more culturally aware of the needs differences to be sure those needs are respected and met?
Do your research. Do your research. Try to just be around people. I know that it's not easy to be around some ethnic groups or
Mm-hmm.
cultural groups, as many that go around in care, but some populations might be have less of those cultures than others. And you may be like, okay, I've got a Vietnamese kid, or I've got a Pakistani kid, or even an African American kid. And I'm like, we don't have
Mm-hmm.
that many of those around here. So what do? You don't want to seem like you're doing cultural appropriation or anything, or being extra when it comes to just trying to make sure that they feel comfortable. But I mean, it's not really that hard to to just Google or to talk to them, even
Mm-hmm.
just to ask them, so what do you like to do, before you just assume a lot of things about them, because that's where that disconnection is going to come in strong if you're not able to communicate strongly with them,
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to to express their needs. They need their needs expressed, because they might be like you don't know this person yet. Whatever you just see on paper isn't exactly who they are, just because that's what they're listed as their racial ethnicity, uh or their cultural difference. It's just we all have differences. We're all different people, but you just have to be respectful and just get to talk to them a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. And I'll go ahead and I'll just echo the same thing you just said, Yana, just because like doing your research goes like a long, long way. And even if like you do your research, you still get it wrong. Just like the effort alone that you're willing to like just like understand this person culture like before like they come in your home or even if they're already in your home, just the effort you're showing goes a miles and like the youth is really gonna appreciate that. Okay, cool. We got a
There's a couple more questions in there, Dave.
hmm
One is, were any of your concerns or issues ever addressed by your social worker in DCBS?
uh
Mm.
no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just, no, I was thinking too. I was just like, not that I can recall. No, I remember like I was still getting my hair relaxed, and I was like, I just was like, I'm a girl. I want to get my hair done. That's all I wanted to do. And these people didn't know how to do my hair. And I was like, can I please, can I go home one weekend and get my hair done? She was like, oh, we'll get you together or something. And she never got back to me on getting my hair done. I just remember I was like looking a hot mess and I just felt like disheveled. Because I was like, that's the concern. I know it might not be a concern to everybody else, but as a cultural concern to me and my hair, I'm like, I had to end up like cutting a little bit of my hair off just because it hadn't been growing right. It was weird, but yeah, I think that's some things that we really need to work on is knowing a lot of cultural differences and having the social workers be involved too, especially if they can speak up for you.
Yeah, I'll be real with y'all. I had uh, I had a social worker, I had my emancipation worker, and I want to say that was it. No, yeah, no, my social worker was my DCBS worker. So like I didn't I didn't vibe with her at first just because like everything I was doing, like she always kind of like just like check me on it. And like when I look back on it now, like I realized that. So me and her had to like build that like relationship. And like once we built that rapport, like yo, she like if I told her something was wrong, she was like just like go ahead and believe me. Like, okay, cool. I'm gonna get on that for you, like ASAP. And then I think she like retired or like she bounced a new job and I got a new worker. And me and her did not vibe whatsoever. So like I just started taking stuff through my emancipation worker. And he will like he'll just keep reminding me I'm about to like be out or whatever. And like he'll also like kind of like check my DCBS worker anytime like I would tell him something, he'll be like, "Hey, I've been working with this kid for like a minute now. So like when he say this, like I know it's true and I know it's valid." So like I guess I guess what I'm saying is like building that rapport like is super important, especially like as a youth. And like even as a worker, like just building that rapport with your youth just to like kind of figure out like how things are going, like to really understand like most of the situation. Because like I feel like sometimes youth say stuff because they got that prior history or like the prior history we see in the binder or folder. Like we kind of be like, okay, cool, this youth isn't being for real, or they're not being honest. But like sometimes taking that extra step and having a conversation with them and understanding them will kind of like give you a bigger picture and like really like understand the youth. And honestly, it's gonna make you guys' job like a little bit easier. Like if you are able to build rapport with youth instead of like just going up there and just checking up on them anytime something goes south. So yeah.
Mhm. Like I understand we don't want, the families think that if anything is told, to the state, that they're gonna get in trouble for it. And I'm just like, I don't want you to get in trouble. I just want this situation to be resolved. If it's gonna hurt me or if it's bothering me, and I'm telling you, and you're doing nothing about it, then I have to tell somebody higher up because it's above you now at this point. Like, I remember I had one family I stayed with, they had really, really bad fleas on their dogs. So they had a lot of animals and they would bite my legs up. They would be everywhere. And she took me to the doctor one day and they just gave me some Benadryl. And they told me that I had to take Benadryl like every day during the summer. and I would end up sleeping for like 8 hours out of the summer
That's
just
wild.
because they didn't want to be, but they're like, oh, it's allergies. I was like, it's not allergies. Y'all have fleas
Hmm.
and nobody's doing anything about it. So it was just wild to me. I was like, I'm not trying to get you in trouble, but we need to do something.
Hmm.
So there's one more question in the chat before you guys move on. And the
Hmm.
question is, did you ever have access to a peer support group with other kids in similar circumstances? For example, being a Black girl in rural Kentucky, was it, or do you think it would be helpful?
So
You go ahead, Yana.
okay. I mean, no, they really don't have those groups out there like that. Because most of everybody in the system is so separated. You don't really get to meet too many people who are like you around the same environment. Um, but like school, that's like one of the only places that you could really kind of have that normalcy and that peer support is at school. Cause like when you go to school, if you don't tell kids that you're in foster care, people don't really judge you. People don't know. So you just feel like that's your one piece of normalcy for about 8 hours out of the day is when you go to school. And you can be around other kids your age and you can make your own friends and you can kind of do your own thing there and you don't have to feel like you're being judged so much. But I had to go to like 5 different high schools just with my stay in care and meet all these different people and go to all these different places. But I still felt like for that time, that was the only place that I could feel like any support from my friends or meet people who look like me, who like the same things as me, who I could talk to. And then when I went home, I was just like, okay, they don't know my complete situation if I don't have to tell them.
Hmm.
And I want to keep it that way.
Yep. And yeah, Yana, that was the same for me too. So like, yeah, we well, at least growing up when I was in placement, I really didn't have like, I don't think we had peer support or like groups where you go to kind of like talk about the stuff that like we're going through. We should. I don't know why we haven't yet. But yeah, and like you said, Yana, like going to school, I refuse to tell people unless they were like a teacher, principal, guidance counselor, that I was in placement. Like I just refuse to tell that because kind of like what you said, like that's like my safe spot. And it's like I'm I'm a big person where it's like my pride is like super important to me. And like I just feel like just the simple fact of saying like I'm in a group home or like I'm in placement, that was gonna hurt my pride a lot. And it's like the school is just something where it's like all my homies were at school. I could like talk to them about whatever. And like there was no need for those two worlds to just collide. Like that wasn't necessary in any way, shape, or form. So like anytime like they'll ask me like, hey, can you like hang out after school? I'll be like, sure. I'll have to call my group home just to see if I could or see if I had like some community time where I could like go out in the community. But yeah, like there wasn't no groups or anything like that. So like school was pretty much like all I had.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So are we good for chat questions, Vanessa?
Yes, I believe we got all of the chat questions addressed.
Okay, cool. And okay, yes. So I know we have another presentation. So I think we got time from two more questions on this list, Ayana. So like just let's go ahead and knock it out and then we'll have Scott take over. So let's see. The next questions that we have was, do you feel like you could be your true self while you were with your caregivers or placement or in placement?
Um, I honestly could not be my authentic self during any of my time in foster care because I always felt like I was on edge and like everything was pretty unpredictable from like 14 to 16 because those teenage years where you're still trying to figure out who you are and switching schools that often, and the people who are around me and what I liked, and just at the time the people around me had a lot of influence on me, and I knew that it was ultimately my decision to choose whatever pleased me and what I was comfortable with. Um, so I was kind of quiet and kind of to myself, which I'm not when I'm with my family, or when I'm with people who like I can feel comfortable around. So I journaled a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and I probably went through like 5 or 6 notebooks during my stay in foster care. I journaled like about everything and anything, and I felt like I listened to music all the time, like especially when One Direction dropped. I don't know, like I was exercising and I did homework and I like would read poetry or whatever kept me occupied, and that was just my main thing, to like focus on myself mostly. But I was still trying to figure out exactly what I liked and what I needed to change,
Mm-hmm.
um, because I was like, this is an opportunity for growth, not only for growing with my diabetes and getting to learn about my disease, but the people who are around me, like I said, who are all diverse. Everybody's different, all the people I was staying with, and what I wanted to do as a young woman, growing into about to be a young adult. uh During that whole stage, I was like, it was kind of the weirdest time to not be at home with my family, because I was like, okay, 14 to about 17, being in care. I was like, I've been with my family all my childhood life, and now I'm like, I felt like I had to grow up a lot quicker than uh than I had expected at that age, while still being in high school and still having to deal with kid related things, but at the same time focusing on getting a job and starting to go to college and doing independent living, and trying to get back home. Basically, that was what I had to focus on so much. In just school, being in high school, that was a lot at the time, because just switching everywhere so frequently was a big
Mm-hmm.
deal to me. But I didn't feel like I was myself all the time. I felt like I was just kind of boxed in a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I'll go ahead and say that. Like, when I first got into placement, I didn't feel like I could be my true self. But I will say this: I eventually got there, just because, like, I feel like we don't take this into consideration. So, like, when you go into placements, like, depending if you go into a foster home, group home, or residential, there's like kids who from like all over the state, from like different like backgrounds, different neighborhoods, and different like cultures, and like all of this. And it's like you sometimes like get merged in like all of that, and like you sometimes feel like you just have to like fit in, and sometimes like fitting in, like depending on what placement you're at, like fitting in is probably like gonna like or like protect you in like the long run from like just like getting like a fight or like just getting altercations. Like you just sometimes feel like you just have to like merge with like what's going on. So like for a long time when I was in placement, like I just felt like I had to be somebody that I wasn't. But like the more like I grew, like as I got older, because I was in placement for like I want to say like maybe like about 4 years, like either 4 to 5 years, like and like the longer I was in it, like and the older I got, I was like, you know what? Like Daisy, you don't have to do this. Like you really don't have to do this. So like once I figured that out, like my time in placement just got a whole lot easier because like I just started doing my own thing, like just like started working on myself and just like overall healing. So like yeah, I will say like at first I couldn't be myself, but eventually I was able to like to overcome that. And one more question. So we got uh what was the accommodation like when you first got a placement? Um got to a place in your new when you got placed in your new caregiver? What was the accommodations like?
Ah, so I mean, we always had pretty good food. That was the main thing. There was always food, no matter where I stayed. I was
Hmm.
just like, I always know that it's going to have food. There's going to be good shelter. I mean, I've lived everywhere from like farmhouses to like mansions. It's been wild. Just being placed all over this state. And I don't know. I mean, we always had our own rooms. I
Hmm.
never I think I've only shared a room twice. But we always had like our own beds. We always had like bunk beds or something too in the mix. But it was never like overcrowded or overbearing with too many people. Um, Usually there were a lot of women there, so we would keep the house mostly clean. Uh, so just living with like different girls and stuff, we would always be made to learn how to clean up and stuff, take care of ourselves. Uh, just different things. Phew. I've lived so many different places with so many different people. It's hard to like group it all into one category, but nothing was ever like overwhelmingly dirty. Um the people were usually friendly for the most part. They felt like they were doing their jobs of not only providing you with that shelter to stay, but just the things that you needed in there. They were usually pretty fully stocked with like the food, the cleaning supplies, the just anything that you needed to like play with or to have entertainment with. Uh, I remember this one place that I went to. This family was really nice that I stayed with in respite. They had like a whole game room downstairs, and they even took us like to go to this Christmas tree farm. It was my first time at a Christmas tree farm, and I found the tree and we cut it down. Uh, and we took a whole bunch of pictures and they sent them to me later. But I was just like, I thought that was always special to me. Like there are those moments that I've had with a lot of these families that they make you feel like you're at home for a little bit. So I always appreciated that.
Uh, yeah, yeah, like you know what, Ayana, I completely agree. I want to say for my time in placement, I want to say I think the child welfare system does a good job of accommodating their youth because like I had a place to sleep, I have food, I had like all the hygiene stuff that I needed. Like I had like all of that and like everything was like straight. So like they did a good job of accommodating me. But that's kind of like surface level stuff. Like as you go deeper into it, it's kind of like you kind of like need more like as a youth. But like when it comes to stuff like, you know what, had food, had a bed to stay, had like all of that. I was straight on
Yeah. I was like, there's nothing more that you can really ask for at this
it.
point. I was like, do we have Wi-Fi? Cool.
All right. I want to thank you all for coming and sharing with us today. The information that you guys provided has been so powerful, and I hope if you haven't already, you take a chance to look at the chat box to see all of the wonderful comments that you guys have had, and just again, thank you for sharing this with our system of care partners so we can do better moving forward. Does anybody have any additional questions for Days or Ayana before we turn it over to Aetna Better Health of Kentucky? Check the chat really quick. Okay, so I think there are some that are asking for your all's contact information. So if you guys are interested in providing that in the chat box, please do so. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Aetna Better Health of Kentucky. We have Courtney Ham with us today and Erica Jones. Courtney is the Care Advocate Team Crisis and Emergency Services Administrator with Aetna. And Erica Jones is a nurse educator with the Kentucky Sky program. So I will go ahead and give it to you guys.
Thank you so much. And can I just say, what a wonderful, I guess, segue. You two are a hard act to follow, though. Such powerful information, but it really does kind of connect to our initiatives and what we are really hoping to accomplish with the SKY program. If you're unfamiliar, kind of traditionally in the state of Kentucky, all children in out-of-home care were split up among all of the different MCOs, managed care organizations or insurance companies in Kentucky, and everyone kind of functioned independently. So, you know, what might have been covered with this MCO might not have been covered with this one, and there was nothing was connected, right? So for the first time in, I guess, Kentucky's history with out-of-home care, children in out-of-home care, we were awarded the single contract in 2020, beginning in 2020, where we actually kind of oversee all of the behavioral health needs, physical health needs, you know, any of the covered needs that are met with insurance in Kentucky. So by having that contract that covers all of the kids in out-of-home care, it's really our hope that we can kind of make things a little bit more seamless, work together, work with DCBS, you know, work with families and the kids, and make everything a little bit more, you know, we can kind of see what's going on across the board. So that's how SKY kind of came into play. That's what we're referring to. That stands for Supporting Kentucky's Youth. And when we say that, we are referring to kids in out-of-home care. So who does that include? Children in foster care, children in kinship or fictive kin care, youth that are duly committed to DCBS and DJJ, youth in juvenile justice who are Medicaid eligible, children 18 and under who are eligible due to being in an out-of-state relative placement, children and youth who are receiving interstate adoption assistance, and adoption assistance children. So we want to take just a few minutes today and tell you about some of the resources that we have. As we kind of mentioned before, I'm a nurse educator. I do a lot of trainings with our members and with families, with providers, with a lot of different folks, and just hearing, you know, the needs and the experiences that Days and Ayana went through. You know, it's something that I personally say in all of my trainings, you know, we need to, if you have the pleasure of having someone of a different ethnicity or of a different cultural background, that is something to be celebrated in your home, right? You know, and even if it's something you're not used to, you know, different groups of folks have, you know, different diets, and you know, what may be something that is never offered in their home is something we eat all the time, right? So bringing the kids into the kitchen, you know, let's make a meal that your family is used to having, you know, let's celebrate all aspects of who you are. And hopefully that is translated in the care that we give. We definitely look through that trauma lens, because being removed from your home, that is traumatic in and of itself. So, you know, it's we really want to get this right, you know, and it's important to us. And I think I speak for Courtney and the rest of Aetna that we love learning and we love hearing from you. That message was just so impactful today. So I do appreciate it. If you are a child in SKY, every child has been assigned a case manager. So our case management team, they are here to support you in a myriad of ways. They can help you locate providers if you don't have them, or specialists. They can help you make appointments and help provide transportation if you need it, and do assessments and, you know, meet you where you're at and hopefully get you some more support in what areas you may have. So, you know, the level of intensity and frequency of care coordination services is based on, you know, if you are deemed medically fragile, that comes from the state. That doesn't come from us. So medically fragile automatically goes into our complex care coordination. That's our highest level of case management that we offer. But the other levels, we base that on information from the assessments that we do, from caregivers, from providers, parents, adoptive parents, DCBS, and DJJ workers. So just kind of at a glance here on the screen, it's a lot of contact, but that is what we agreed to with our contract. So again, the complex care coordination, this is our highest level. There's 1 weekly contact. There's a minimum of 2 hours of care coordination per week. There's a monthly care plan update. There's 2 monthly face-to-face visits, and our case managers for this level, where it is the highest level, is 12-1. And then the middle is our intensive care coordination. This is, more moderate acuity, so not really that high risk of crisis. And there's that 1 weekly contact, a monthly care update, and meeting with the member and caregivers face-to-face visit. So the staffing ratio for our care coordinators here is 32-1. And then population health, that's, you're stable, you're good, you're in a good placement, you're happy, no real crises have been identified. And there's just a quarterly outreach. We do a annual health risk assessment. And then the staffing ratio for our case managers here is 400-1. So many more members that they're in charge of because the needs are much lower. So that being said, if you're a foster parent and you have, 3 or 4 kids in the home and you have medically complex children, you've got other appointments, you've got therapies and, provider visits and phone calls from DCBS and then phone calls from us, that can be a little overwhelming. We do not want to make things more difficult for you. So what I personally recommend is if you do have multiple children in your home, we can coordinate so that you have one case manager to oversee your children. That way, you're not getting a call from me, on child A and then Courtney for child B and so on. We can also work with DCBS, kind of knock those face-to-face visits out together, do phone calls together. We are here to make your life better. We are not here to aggravate you. So whatever we can do in order to make that, a little bit easier, we are certainly willing to do that. So when you're in out-of-home care, you automatically are eligible for Medicaid, right? With Medicaid, you are eligible for certain benefits automatically. When you are a member of SCI, meaning you have, those, it's kind of like an extra set of benefits that you're also eligible for, enhanced benefits. And if you are interested in seeing what some of those benefits are, we highly recommend that you get in touch with your child's case manager. Together, we just want to offer these enhanced benefits to, improve the quality of life, improve health outcomes, and achieve optimal health status for your kiddos. This is just kind of at a glance, an example of some of the benefits we offer. The newest one is the YMCA family membership, and this is not just for the SCI eligible youth in your home. This is for the entire family. So say you have, 2 biological children and 2 children that are in your home. This is available for you, your spouse, your biological children, and the SCI eligible youth, because it's just simply not fair that, like say you have to, drive and drop off your youth and then go and pick them back up. We want the whole family to be, involved in these, healthier lifestyles and family units. And we never want to single out our SCI eligible youth, right? So, whatever is available for them, we're just going to kind of include the whole family. There's lots of opportunities for, we want, like the vision exam within 2 weeks of enrollment, and we want a dental exam within 2 weeks of enrollment. Things like that you can get gift cards for. There's lots of things that your child may be eligible for. Again, your SCI case manager can provide more information. We have the iFoster program, where your child may be eligible for a laptop or cell phone. And again, you just start with going through your case manager and they will see if you are eligible. As I mentioned before, we really want to work with the system across the board. This is a rare opportunity we have been blessed with. And, so if you look at this just kind of at a glance shows what families and communities can do, what DCBS is, responsible for, what providers are responsible for, DJJ, and then us here at Aetna. And we all kind of meet in the middle, right? There's mutual support. We have different subject matter expertise, and hopefully all of this results in, navigating the barriers that, children in foster care have traditionally experienced, and it results in better family and community health and wellness. We don't want to just work with these folks. This family and communities piece, this is crucial for us. And so, even in my specific role with Sky as a nurse educator, I formulate trainings, and before those ever get presented, we meet with members of Sky, with families. We present those to our training collaborative, and we want youth voice and choice. We don't want to just speak for you. We want to hear, what do you want in your life? What is important to you? How can we help you achieve that? Are we saying the things that are important to you in this training? And our Sky councils, I think we're going to get into that a little bit more in just a few minutes, but it's, specific opportunities that we have to hear from our youth, and we want that to be front and center of everything that we do. So I think it is here that I'm going to switch things over to Courtney, and she's going to talk to you about some supportive programs that we have.
Hey, thank you so much, Erica. And if you can't tell, Erica is incredibly passionate about all that we do here at Sky, and she's one of the best nurse educators that we have. We are really blessed with really great nurse educators. And so I hope that if you haven't already taken one of their trainings, please do. I will plug them all day. They're amazing. So just like Erica was saying, it's really important that we have these connections and we offer as many programs holistically and as we can. So we really do focus on certain aspects of the social determinants of health. We have a program called Family Finding. And we believe, as Bruce Perry said, the more healthy relationships a child has, the more likely he, she, or they will be able to recover from trauma and thrive. So the relationship piece of being involved with young people in the system is just really, really powerful. So we have this Family Finding program. We also provide peer support. Peer support is just such a big deal in Kentucky, and it is such a big deal here at Sky. We could not do the work that we do without these peer support. And they serve the members, the foster parents. They provide such amazing support for everyone that they work with. We also have a behavioral health discharge program. So that's working with those hospitals to identify that single point of contact in each of the facilities to streamline those communications. It's really important. Those transitions, right? Any transition that we make is a really important just moment in the family's life, and as well as for our members. So we want to make sure we have that discharge planning. We also have something we call high fidelity wraparound, which is just team-based process for planning and implementing those services and supports. And then we have Charting the Life course, which I don't know if everyone's heard of, but really it's a few, I think it's a 6-part series. But really the core belief there is all people have the right to live, love, work, play, and pursue their life aspirations just as anyone does in their community. All right, so this really quickly, just to identify that behavioral health hospital Sky liaisons, they're at the hospitals, and so this is what they do. So they are that single point of contact. They streamline that communication. They attend those team meetings, which is just super important for discharge planning. They do those assessment needs, and then they identify alternative levels of care treatment settings. So some of our initiatives, which I know Erica talked about earlier, but one of the big ones, of course, is ensuring that physical, dental, and vision care. So making sure we work with DCBS and our caregivers to ensure that members attend those appointments within 2 weeks of enrollment. We also have our SKY psychotropic polypharmacy initiative. Sorry, it's a big it's a big word there. And so that really is for us to hone in on the members who meet that criteria, right? We want to reduce overprescribing. We want to make sure that the meds and the medications that young people are taking it's not confusing to them, it's not confusing to the providers, that we're all on the same page with that. And we really also want to increase our education and outreach on that. So we also, it is worth noting that Kentucky ranks #1 in obesity in the United States for children aged 10 to 17. It's worth noting, and it's also important for us to sort of try to tackle this as much as we can, because there's so many increased risk factors for obesity. And so what we do here at SKY is we really want to talk about nutrition and wellness. And so with our SKY case management, with that quick care coordination, we can make referrals to specialists. We can do those value-added benefits. I love that the why benefit is just such a key component, I think, for wellness, especially for the whole family. And I love that we were able to add that. So just to switch gears just a little bit, we do have some available trainings, and there's actually a ton of trainings. So some of them include caring for a child with food allergies, caring for a child with ADHD, power struggles, child and adolescent wellness and nutrition, as we were talking about. We have one called The Talk, talking with your teen about sex, and basic information about over-the-counter and prescription medicines. We have these trainings, and they're available throughout the year. And you can definitely go to ednabetterhealth.com/Kentucky/event in order to sign up for these trainings. So Jessie Kane, our SKY inquiry coordinator, is really a great asset to our team. And then, so if we're having issues, if we need to file grievances, if there are things that need to be addressed, Jessie is the one to talk to. So we definitely have a process for that. We can contact member services to speak with him, of course, but you can also email him, and he will get back with you just as fast as he possibly can. All of those inquiries definitely go to leadership, and then they're addressed as soon as possible. So that's something that we find really important as we've been rolling out SKY now for about 3 years. So just as Erica mentioned earlier, it's really important that we have these SKY councils, because this is where we're getting the voice of the people who are in SKY, where we hear from young people, where we hear from parents, where we hear from caregivers. And so we have 4 of these councils, and there is a new one coming up that we're getting ready to launch. And that one is the SKY LGBTQIA Advisory Council for young people. So we'll have some flyers and send that out. But we definitely have our member advisory councils, our family advisory councils, foster parents, and then we have our peer-to-peer roundtables. All of these, it's really important work for us to listen, right? So this is about SKY listening to what's happening with our members and with our families across the Commonwealth. So it really is a place to provide feedback for those system barriers and try to make those recommendations for change. So I know we did a quick overview beforehand. I didn't say this before, but if you do have questions, please drop them in the chat or just go ahead and interrupt me. So we do have our value-added benefits. We have our member guide. Our member guide is available on our website. And then we, of course, work with our regional community mental health centers. One of the big initiatives that I've been working on is with 988, right? So working with 988 and working with those CMHCs, because they're doing such a fantastic job of working with the 988 calls and everything like that. So we added some resource lines here. 988 is, of course, the number one. You can call or text 988. So you can actually just text 988 from your phone. You don't need a different code because I know that, so for example, it says text start, right, to 741-741. That's for a crisis line. But for 988, all you got to do is text 988. So that's really great. And then we have the Trevor Project on there, which is a partner that we have with Aetna. And then, of course, those DBHD crisis lines by county. So these are our Aetna important numbers. This includes our member services line, which anyone can call. It includes our 24-hour nurse line, our 24-hour behavioral health crisis line, which of course is just really important if anyone is experiencing a behavioral health crisis, and may not want to call 988. Maybe they want to try to get to their case manager. They can call that number. And so, and this also has our websites and then our emails and that provider portal. So this is just, I love sometimes we put faces to name. This is case management, and these are our managers. This is definitely something you could take a phone, a phone photo with about this, right? Because they're easily accessible. All of the case management managers are by region. So you'll see Southern Bluegrass, Eastern Mountain, the Lakes, Jefferson. You'll see those regions. So they're really great, and we couldn't do this work without them. And this is also our peer supports. So also they're by region, and you could take a photo of this as well, and they've got their emails on there, and they're just a huge part of the work that we do, and we're just so grateful to have them. So I think that's about all for our presentation. We were really excited and happy to be here, and thank you so much, Erica, for kicking us off. If anyone has any questions, please let us know. I'm going to put my information in the chat.
And I'll put mine as well.
And I know that it's just been such a powerful morning. So we just really appreciate being here and being able to share resources.
Thank you all for having us. Thanks, Vanessa.
Thank you all for being here. Also want to thank Dave and Ayana for being here and sharing with us today as well. As a reminder, a recording of this session is going to be placed on the REACT webpage if you'd like to share it with your agencies and or your community partners. It should be available by Monday afternoon. So if you go looking for it today, you won't find it, but by Monday afternoon, it should be there. Our next REACT Learning Series session is scheduled for September 1st. The title of it is Supporting/Educating on Inclusivity Resources for Underserved Populations by Elevating Voices in Kentucky Public Schools. So we will also have that as a panel session as well with different agencies that will be on to talk with us about that. Before we close out today, I wanted to let you know, just put some stuff in the chat box about the session evaluation. If you'll take a chance or take time to fill that out, that would be great. I've also got my email in there. If you need a certificate of attendance, I'd be happy to get that to you. And then also I've got the REACT webpage in there that will, again, have this session by Monday afternoon. It also includes all of our other REACT Learning Series sessions that we've done over time. So before we close, does anybody have any additional questions for our presenters or panelists today? All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Again, a special thanks to our panelists, facilitators, and presenters, and hope you guys have a great weekend.